Hello, everybody. Welcome to Game 2 of spring training in Fall Classic Baseball. Again, one of the teams that is not going to be on the NBC Game of the Week, they're not scheduled, is the San Diego Padres. So the first time around, we did the Atlanta Braves because they're not going to be scheduled. Now we're doing the San Diego Padres because they're not scheduled. So we're going to play the San Diego Padres opening day game of the 1989 season against the San Francisco Giants. It'll be Eric Schau on the mound for the Padres against Rick Reuschel for the Giants. And of course, first step is the bullpen session to see what kind of stuff each pitcher has. So for Eric Schau, we roll that and we get a 10. So he's under his B grades, and I've got these little logo cutouts here. So what I'm going to do here is Eric Schau will be under his B grade, so the Padres are going to be right over his B grade to remind me of that. We'll do Reuschel. He's a 2. He's under his A grade. So when Russell is pitching, I will put this little giant logo there to remind me that he's under his A grades. And for those watching, you can tell what grade they're under. So we'll move Reuschel out of the way for now because, of course, batting first will be the Giants. And I do have the team sheets. First for the Padres on this side, and on the other side we have the Giants. Can't remember which way to flip them here. I was going to try to fit the ballpark card right here where my finger is, but it got cut off, so I decided to be a little different and just go to my PDF file and kind of snip or make an image of the ballpark card, and I've got that on the screen, so hopefully you can see that as well. And hopefully got the information there. I've got the lineups. It's really small, but I had to make them small to make them fit. You got the pitcher batter lineup or matchup. You got the line score, and you got the infield and outfield, so you can see who's in the outfield, who's in the infield, and when runners are on base. And hopefully doing all that peripheral stuff doesn't take away. You should be able to see, hopefully, to see the dice decently and the cards decently. That's my goal. I hope I tinker with the lighting. Hopefully it's a good lighting situation. That's what these spring training games are for, not only to get these teams in that aren't on the game of the week, but also it's like spring training for me to practice, to get the setups correct and whatnot. And of course, I'm doing some recording, so doing it live might be a little different. I have to tinker with that too, but this is the first tinkering, is to do a recording. And then again, when I do the game of the week, I may end up just doing totally analog like I did the first spring training game. It's hard to tell. Whatever my mood strikes me, I guess. All right, so we're going to start this ball game off with Brett Butler. He'll be facing Eric Schau. And I do have the manual entry screen showing, so you can see me as I enter the manual entry portions. All right, and the good thing about having the pitcher batter lines on the screen is you can see what their average is, what the ERA is. You don't need me reading all this stuff off. And we are ready to go from Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego. Eric Schau on his B grades. And we're underway. 24. That's going to be a hit by pitch on a 1-3, and that is a 3. So how about that? Right off the bat, first things first, Brett Butler gets plunked by Eric Schau. And again, I am using auto steal, so if there's no plus sign there, I'm not going to attempt to steal. So that'll bring up Robbie Thompson. And hopefully the screen is showing Brett Butler there. All right, now we go to Robbie Thompson. Oh, 66. That's an 18. That'll be a double for Robbie Thompson. And we're going to go to our runner on first hit chart with a double. And that's an 18. It says it's double to center field, holds at third. If 2 outs, assist chance at home, batter stays at second on throw. Well, they're not 2 outs, so it's going to be a hold at third. So it's a double for Robbie Thompson. All of a sudden, second and third, nobody out. Eric Schau is in deep trouble. And Will the Thrill Clark will be at the plate. Padres going to play back in the infield. It's early, obviously, so they're going to play back. That's a 15. That's an out. And that's an 11. So we go to our runners on second and third chart. And with an 11. So second and third out chart and an 11. Ground out. The white die is a 5. That's the third. It says runners advance. So runners advance. That means it's going to be a ground ball to Flannery at third, but his only play is going to be at first base. So that means going to third is Thompson, and scoring on the play is going to be Brett Butler. And there you go. Giants lead at 1-0. RBI ground out from Will Clark. Thompson at third, 1 out, and now the infield is in for Kevin Mitchell. Dangerous spot to be. You see those 55 and 66 home runs on Kevin Mitchell. Pitch from Chow, 13. That's a walk on a 1-11, and and he's got a plus sign there, which means he has to try to steal. So that'll be a walk to Kevin Mitchell, and he has to go. Normally, I would not have him steal if I was managing right now. Not with runs at first and third and 1 out. I'd leave it up to Maldonado, but that's not the case here. So we look at the arm of Santiago, and he's got an average arm, so that means Kevin Mitchell's going to keep his 9 rating. So it's a 1-9 to steal it. And he does. So how about that? A stolen base for Kevin Mitchell. And that's one of the good things, I guess, about this auto steal thing is you get stolen base attempts that you would never normally attempt. So there you go. Kevin Mitchell with a stolen base. He had 3 steals on the season. He got caught 7, or he was 3 out of 7, I guess, is what it's showing on here. So back to second and third with 1 out. The infield's going to go back in for Candy Maldonado. Chow in trouble early. That's a 15, which is an out. That's a 9, but that is an X. So on an X, that would be a double play, but we're not going to have a double play here. So it does not mean it's automatically a ground out. That's a 9. So we're going to to a 9 on a second and third out chart. It's a fly to right, runners hold. Runners can run with risk. So Thompson could run with a risk. The fly out is to right field. That's that's John Kruk. So we look at John Kruk's arm in right field. John Kruk in right field. He's got a weak arm with a 6 assist rating. But the run with risk on a weak arm means he's only out on a 1. Everything else he's going to be safe on a 2 to 6. So that's certainly worth the risk. So anything other than a 1 is a sacrifice fly. And it is. So sacrifice fly off the bat of Candy Maldonado. He flies it out to Kruk. But Kruk with that weak arm wasn't able to do anything about it. And it's 2-0 Giants. And again, another purpose of doing this is to get feedback, not that you either like or dislike the presentation. I mean, that's fine too. I always can use that feedback, but primarily it's for me to get the rules straight. I want to make sure I'm not doing anything incorrect in the rules. I'm more concerned about that than I am the presentation. Here's Terry Kennedy, because I want to get the game, I want to make sure I don't mess up the rules. Here's Kennedy, 54. We're going to the dreaded, what I call the dreaded 54 chart. At least I call it that. Dreaded 54 chart with runners on base, obviously. So we're going here, wild with men on base. And it's a 1-18 for a wild pitch check. That's a 9. Shaw's wild pitch is a 16. So that's going to be a wild pitch. It could be a pass ball if Benito Santiago's pass ball rating is 1-9. And we look at the defensive sheet for Santiago. His pass ball rating is only a 4. So it will be a wild pitch tossed by Eric Shaw to move the runner to third base with 2 outs. So the wild pitch. Kennedy still at the plate. Former Padre, used to catch Eric Chow, so he should be very familiar with him. 54 again. Is there a rule against back-to-back 54s with wild pitches? I don't want to have back-to-back wild pitches, so I'm gonna overrule that. I don't want 54s back-to-back. Maybe that's incorrect by the rules, but I'm making my own rules here. I don't want to do back-to-back 54s. I'm not going to do back-to-back 54s. I've just made that decision. I'm going to overrule anything that's a 54 for a second time. 33 is going to be a walk on a 1-11. 12-13 is a strikeout. 18 is a fly to center, or a fly out rather. But I'm going to re-roll this because the D20 was already used to determine it's going to be an out. So I'm going to re-roll this. We get a 5, with a runner on third. 5 with a runner on third. A left-handed batter will ground it to first base. So it's going to be a ground ball first base assisted. Jack Clark will take it to the bag himself. And finally, the Padres are out of the inning, but boy, 2 runs for the Giants here in the first. And we go to the bottom of the first, and we know that Rick Reuschel is on his A grades. So Rick Reuschel pitching on his A grades. And he'll start out facing Roberto Alomar. Alomar, which hitter? 15, that's an out. That's a 1. It's going to tap her right back to the mound. So a very easy little play there. Meekly hit ground ball right back, or meekly hit tapper right back to Rick Reuschel for 1 away. Here's Flannery. That's a 36 for Flannery. That's an out. 19, that's a fly to right field. Little can of corn out there to Candy Maldonado. 2 up, 2 down, and here comes Tony Gwynn. 15, that is an out as well. 18, that's a fly to center. So 1-2-3 inning for Rick Reuschel, and it seemed like Eric Schau didn't even get a breather, and he's got to go right back out there and face this Giant lineup once again. And it'll be Matt Williams to lead it off, followed by Uribe and Reuschel. 15, that's a strikeout for Eric Schau. Eric Schau gets his first strikeout of the game to go with 1 walk, and here's Jose Uribe. 44, that's a single, and he's got to go. It's a stolen, it's a plus sign there, so he has to attempt to steal. We already know Benito Santiago's an average arm, so it does not affect what he's got here. He's got a 1-10. He was 6 out of 12 stealing, 50-50 shot. So a 10, pretty much right in line on a D20. It's a 50-50. 1-10. And he's out, caught stealing. See, normally if I was managing, well, there's already 1 out, so you wouldn't bunt with Reuschel, but so I guess maybe that was a decent chance. I'm not sure if I would have sent him on my own, but we're not doing that. We're doing the manual entry, so it's a caught stealing 2-4. Actually, it's going to be 2-6 because they were playing for Reuschel to bunt there, so the shortstop would be covering. But it doesn't matter. It's 2 outs now, and the pitcher, Rick Reuschel, is going to bat. Obviously, no longer bunting. He's going to swing away. 164 hitter with 3 runs batted in, so it wasn't like totally inept. 26, that's the left-right split, and he is going to make an out. 12, bases empty, is a pop out, whatever the white die is. The white die is a 6, so he pops it up to Templeton short, and that will end the inning. So Schau does much better here in the second inning. We go to the bottom of the second for Rick Reuschel. And he'll be facing Jack Clark, Carmelo Martinez, and John Kruk. 41, and 41 is a walk, 1-14. That's a 1, so Jack Clark will draw the base on balls. Something he did quite a bit in real world. He had 132 walks in the real season. So not unfamiliar territory for Jack Clark to draw the base on balls. So Clark's at first. He's obviously not going to go anywhere. And here is Carmelo Martinez, the left fielder. That's a 41, and we're back to the exact same roll, and we got another walk, back-to-back walks. Now, we'll allow a back-to-back walk. I didn't want to allow a back-to-back wild pitch, but I will allow back-to-back walks. Although I'm thinking about not allowing any of the same roll back-to-back. I don't really like that. I want to get variety here, so if I roll a 41 twice in a row, I may start disallowing the second one. I haven't decided on that yet, but I really don't like that duplicate stuff. Here's John Kruk. I mean, it happens, it happens. 24 for Kruk. That's an out with an X. So if it's a ground out, we could get a double play, but a 19 is going to be a fly out to right field. Runners at first and second. Fly out to right. White die 1, which it is not. If it was, the runner could have tried to advance from second with risk, but even if it was, we're not going to risk it with Jack Clark. He doesn't run well at all. And I don't think it would be a good chance to do that. So fly ball to right field, And here comes Benito Santiago. 44, and that's a single plus. So we get to our runners at first and second hit chart, and we get a 13. 13, it says right fielder, it's hit to right field, holds at third, but can run with risk. Well, they're down 2-0, so I don't think we want to run with risk. I will check Maldonado's arm just to make sure he's not a weak arm. If he's a weak arm, we might take off at him. No, he's an average arm, so we're not going to run with risk. It's just going to be a base hit. So the plus that's there is nullified because he can't steal. He's got people in front of him. But the Padres down 2-0. They're going to play it station to station and load the bases. So the bases are loaded with one out for Gary Templeton. That's a 46, and a 46 is the ballpark card. So if we look at the ballpark card, that's a 17, and that is, let's see here, 17, stretch single into a double or out at second. How about that? So we go to the ballpark card, and that 17 there says stretch single into double or out at second. All runners advance 2 bases. So we know it's at least a 2-base advancement. 17 is to the left fielder. So I've got to figure out, I haven't tried to do this one yet. Use the outfielder's assist rating to check safe or out. Okay. So the left fielder's assist rating, that is Kevin Mitchell. His assist rating is a 3. So 1 to 3, I guess you have to go. I guess there's not an option here not to go. So I think you're forced to go here. So 1 to 3, he's going to be safe on a double. 4, 5, or 6, he's out at second. So he's safe. It's going to turn into a double for Gary Templeton. And again, I hope I played that correctly, but I'm playing it as a double. 2-run double to tie the score at 2 apiece. Like I said, I hope I played it correctly. Somebody let me know if I didn't. So runners are, oh, how did this thing open up? Runners are at second and third with 1 out for Eric Shao. I am not doing a suicide squeeze or any of that mess. We're just going to have Shao swing away. The infield is in. 13 for Shao is a strikeout. So didn't matter where they were at this point. 2 down for Roberto Alomar. 43 for Alomar. That is an out, and it's a 1. It's right back to Reuschel, and that will end the inning. But the 2-run double from Gary Templeton has tied this score at 2 apiece as we go to the top of the third. And leading off for San Francisco, it's the top of the order, Brett Butler. That's a 51, so we're going to an error check on our defensive sheet. 16 is well above his KD rate, so that doesn't stop anything. So we're looking at an error chance. We get a 15, which is an error chance on the pitcher itself. Shao's error rating. And let's look at that on the team sheet. Get Eric Shao's error rating. Where are the pitcher error ratings on here? Oh, right here. Okay. Eric Shao, his error chance is a 9. His error chance is a 9 on the team sheet. That's a 17, so he does not make the error. So Eric Shao will make the play. And he'll throw out Brett Butler. 1 away. Robbie Thompson. 36. That's an out. 17, fly to left. 2 down for Will Clark. 62, and that's a strikeout. I'm sorry, it's an out, not a strikeout, because he's on his B grades. Regular out, and it's an 11. 11, base is empty. Is a ground out to wherever the white die. The white die's a 2. So it's ground out in front of the plate, a little nubber in front of the plate, and Benito Santiago will make the play. And the Giants go quietly in the third. We go to the bottom of the third. Tim Flannery will lead it off for San Diego in a 2-2 ball game. 54. Of course, nobody's on base, so we don't have to worry about wild pitches or anything, but we'll figure out what's going on in 18. Base is empty, wild. 18, strike 3 if catcher rating, range rating is G as he frames the pitch. Okay, well, let's get the defensive team sheet for, or defensive sheet, the team sheet rather, for Terry Kennedy and see if he can frame the pitch. There's his rating, and the thing says if he's a G-rated framer, he's actually N under his range. Not the G. Brenly would have been a G. Bates and Litton would have been Gs, but Manwaring and Kennedy are not. So it says if he's a G frame, he frames the pitch. Ball 4 if catcher rating B. Home end gets strike 3. Away end gets ball 4. So he's N, and so he's adding in a little bit of the home field advantage here. So since they're on the road, that will turn into a walk. So Tim Flannery, because he's playing at home, will draw the walk. If that was in San Francisco, it would have still been a strikeout. So I like that. Yeah, it's a little bit of home field advantage. Most games don't even consider home field advantage, so that's a nice little touch there. Here's Tony Gwynn. 61, and that's going to be a strikeout of Tony Gwynn. Strikeout Tony Gwynn, and I don't think it's any way I don't think there's any way for a batter to counteract that or lower that number. As far as I'm aware, they just have to strike out. There's nothing we can do about it. Although Tony Gwynn only struck out 30 times. So that's something I would like to see. Maybe I can figure out a way to homebrew that somehow. Or if somebody else knows a way to do it, let me know. But Tony Gwynn only struck out 30 times. But he doesn't have any strikeouts here, so maybe that's just all depending on the batter card. But there's nothing on there that I see that allows him to reduce that chance of a strikeout. It's pretty much already there. So, all right, and I think it'd have to be a range anyway to do that. So, all right, here's Jack Clark. 41 for Clark, and that is a walk, 1-14, and Clark has done it again. Second walk for Clark, and he does that a lot, no question about it. Here's Carmelo Martinez. 22 from Martinez. That's a walk, 1-4, and that's a 2, so it will be a walk. So how about that? Rick Reuschel. Little control issues. He's going to get the Depend Undergarments lack of control player of the game if he keeps going. Here is John Kruk. Bases loaded, 1 out. 64, and that's an out. 19, so we go to the bases loaded out chart, and a 19. Fly out to right field, runner hold. Runner on third can run with risk. All right, so let's see here. What kind of arm does Maldonado have? Maldonado in right field has an average arm. An average arm, which means you could run with risk on a 1-3 and make it. Or, I'm sorry, be out 4-6, so you'd be safe. So you got a 50-50 chance, basically. And as I like to say, do you want to take that chance, or do you want to have a 50% chance that Santiago is going to reach base? So we're going to send him. 1-3, he's out. 4, 5, or 6, he's safe. He's safe. Sacrifice fly off the bat of John Kruk. They took a gamble, and it worked. How about that? Gamble, and it worked. Other runners hold. It doesn't give any, no other runners can move up, apparently. So the run scores for the Padres, and they now lead it 3-2. And here's Benito Santiago. 15, and that is a strikeout 1-9, but that's a 15. So we're going to re-roll this to see what the out is. It's a 5, runners at first and second. So we'll see what the first and second out chart has to say with a 5. And it is with a right-handed batter. Ground out to the white die, so it's a white die was a 5 originally, so it's a ground ball to third. Ground out to third to end the inning. We're just going to say that Williams will throw it to first and keep that pretty simple to end the inning. But the Padres take a 3-1 lead on the Giants, or 3-2 lead on the Giants, rather. Here's Shao again on his B grades only. And Kevin Mitchell will lead off for the Giants. $22 for Mitchell. That is a triple 1-6. That's an 8, so he'll settle with the double. And I have no idea how this presentation is going to look until I finish with it. So anybody's guess at this point. I'd like to be able to have this thing not keep coming up all the time. This little thing here telling me how many doubles he had. There's something in the Action PC menu that I'm sure will prevent that. I've got to do some research and figure out how to keep that from happening, because that's kind of annoying to me. Here's Maldonado. 65, that's a home run chance, 1-12, but that's a 13. So how do you like that? He just missed it. That will be an out, but I'm going to re-roll the out. And it's a 12, so runner on second out chart. Runner on second out chart. Let's see, the white die was a 5. So it is going to be a pop out to third. So it's going to pop it up to third for 1 down. Maldonado just missed the home run. And that'll bring up. Now, had Shao been on his C grades, that would have been a goner. Here's Terry Kennedy. 42, and that's a walk. Would have been an out on the A grades, but on the B grades, that's a base on balls for Eric Shao. I know Replay Gamer has gotten to where he's doing the roll every at bat to check the grades, but that's super advanced for me, so I'm sticking with as basic as possible while I learn the game. I may add in some tweaks. I do add in, the one thing I did add in was the range check on the 31. I am going to do that. That's pretty simple to do. Here's Matt Williams, and not much to remember. 24, it's a hit by pitch on a 1-5, but that's a 19. So that'll be a fly to right. Let's see if the runner on second can go to third on a 19. White die 1. White die is not 1, so they've got to hold. So fly to right. Out number 2, and it's up to Jose Uribe with 2 on and 2 out. 13, and that is an out. That's a 1. It's going to go right back to Shao, ground out. And that'll take care of business. So that will end the inning. We go to the bottom of the 4th. Still a 3-2 ball game. I think I'm gonna see about doing this here real quick. If I can do this without messing it up. Without messing the card up, hopefully. Put that there. Try this here. See if I can get this to work the way I want it. All right. So I'm putting a piece of tape there so this thing doesn't slide all over the place. That keeps it in place at grade A. And I did the same thing for Shao. All right, here is Rick Reuschel. I'm sorry, it should be Gary Templeton. Rick Reuschel's not going to pitch to himself. This is not schizophrenic baseball. He's going to pitch to himself, or not pitch to himself, so Gary Templeton will bat. 14, that's an out, and that is a 19. That's a fly to right. Templeton is out, and now Eric Shao, the batter. 62, and that's going to be an out. 18, that's a fly to center. 2 up, 2 down, and back to the top of the order for Roberto Alomar. Alomar 0 for 2. 36, and that's going to be an out. 10, and 10 is a line out to the white die. White die is a 6, so he lines it to short. Snagged by Uribe, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Rick Reuschel. So we go to the bottom half or the top half of the fifth, rather. Rick Reuschel stepping in. Way too early to pinch hit. Reuschel will hit 62. That's an out. 16. And that's going to be a ground out to short. So Reuschel grounds out to Templeton, and as slow as Reuschel runs, Templeton has all day to lob a throw over to Clark. And there's one away. Here's Butler. 13 for Butler. He is out. 15 says he's going to ground it to Jack Clark unassisted. Clark waves off Shao, says I'll take it myself. 2 down. And Robbie Thompson, the batter. So Shao, since the first inning, has really settled in. 54. Dreaded 54 chart. That's a 16. 54, 16. Same thing. Strike 3 if catcher rating G frames the pitch. Well, the catcher rating for Santiago, last time we checked it was Kennedy. This time it's Santiago. So Santiago is an N also. He's also an N. However, N, it says here, N home gets strike 3. So since he's at home, that's the home field advantage for the Padres. That's come up now twice in this game. And Santiago frames the pitch, and they call out Thompson on strikes. He's not happy about it, but that's all she wrote. Go to the bottom of the fifth. It'll be Flannery, Gwynn, and Clark due up for the Friars. 56, and that's going to be a strikeout for Reuschel. Taking care of Flannery, 1 away. I am really liking this game, and I really want to get another printed set. I just have to decide what printed set I want, what season would I want. Would I want something I already have? It's one of my favorite seasons, or would I want to take advantage of a season maybe that's not offered in any other game? See, that's the quandary. Here's Gwynn, 16. 14 is going to, with the bases empty, 14 bases empty is a ground ball to second. Of course, that's first world problems to have. If my biggest problem in life is wondering what season to buy, I'm in pretty good shape. All right, here's Jack Clark. 63, that's an out and a 6, so that's going to simply be a ground ball to short. And a 3-up, 3-down inning for Rick Reuschel. We go to this top of the 6th. It is still a 3-2 Padre lead, nip and tuck. Part of the order for the Giants, Clark, Mitchell, and Maldonado, your batters. Move this picture, sometimes that picture gets in the way. I don't want that in the way if I can avoid it. All right, here's Clark. 31, and this is going to be a range check. This is the homebrew that I followed from Replay Gamer. 31 would normally be a single, but we're going to do a range check instead. So that's a 66 on the range check. So that's a range check on the shortstop. And Templeton should get to that because that's a 4. So Templeton's range is a 10. So since that's a 4, he will get to it. It would have been a single with the extra base advance for runners, but nobody else is on base. But he gets to it, so it's simply going to be a liner to short. So Templeton is able to snag that line drive off the bat of Will Clark. He smoked it, but Templeton was able to reach out and get it, snow cone it. 1 away for Kevin Mitchell. 21, and that's a strikeout for Eric Shao as he sets Mitchell down. 3rd strikeout for Shao to go with his 2 walks. And here's Candy Maldonado. 16 is another strikeout. Strikeout number 4 for Shao. So he has been rolling along since that rough first inning. He has definitely settled in and kind of taken hold of the game, it seems like. Bottom of the 6th, Carmelo Martinez, your batter. Action PC tells me that Reuschel is going strong. Okay, well, I'll believe that. With Carmelo Martinez, well, 66, he might not be going strong after this. Fortunately for Reuschel, that's a 19, so it won't be a homer. It'll just be a double. Still bad enough. A double is a double, but it could have been A little bit worse than that, but Martinez with a double, leadoff double, and here's John Kruk. Again, I wish I could get this little thing off of here. I wonder what that's doing up there, but let's get rid of all that stuff. What is this doing on here? There we go. All right, here's Kruk. 41, and that is a walk, 1-14, so that'll be a base on balls. Reuschel has been victimized by that 41 roll several times, and the D20 being low enough to walk him. So first two are on for Benito Santiago. 16, and that is a strikeout for Santiago. One away. Thought about having him bunt there, but you're getting the bottom of the order coming up, so you don't really want to bunt your 7-hitter to have your 8 and 9 batters hit. Although Templeton did hit a 2-run double back in the second inning, so you never know. 32, and that's going to be a double off of Rick Reuschel. He did it again, another double. That's an 11. So runners at first and second, and that's an 11. So on the double, an 11. It's hit to left field if 2 outs, or if it's 2 out of fast runner score, but it's not 2 outs, and Kruk's not fast. So it'll be just a standard double, RBI double for Templeton. His second double of the game, his 3rd run batted in, and the Padres lead it 4-2. Reuschel is in trouble now, although he does have the pitcher Shao batting. But the bullpen is loosening for the San Francisco Giants. They have action in their bullpen, and they have left-handed pitching Joe Price. He is loosening in the pen, trying to get ready as quickly as he can. Here's Eric Shao. Infield is in with 1 out. 24. 24 is a strikeout, so it doesn't matter where they were. And that is out number 2. And that will send us now to Roberto Alomar. We'll give Reuschel one more batter. He can face 30 batters. This is batter number 28. So they're going to give him one more chance to make sure if he doesn't get Alomar, he's coming out of the game. 11, that's a single and a 1-2. That's an 18. So he caught a break. It would have been a walk, but 18 is going to be an out. And we're going to re-roll to see what the out was. It's a 16, so I think that's a ground ball to short, but we'll find out. Second and third. 16 is a ground out to short. Yep. So Reuschel definitely caught a break there. Ends the inning. It's probably going to be all for Rick Reuschel, though. I think he's pretty much toast at this point. And we'll get Joe Price going forward. Eric Shao back out. We'll be facing Kennedy, Williams, and Uribe. If anybody gets on base, a pinch hitter for Reuschel. But leading off will be Terry Kennedy. Now 4-2 San Diego here in the 7th. 51, that's going to be an error check, as 9 is higher than the KD. So we get a 32, and that's an error check on the first baseman, Clark. So we pull up Clark's defensive sheet. Clark, where are you? First base, here we go. Error rating is a 14, pretty high error rating. But that's a 17, so he's gonna catch a break on the D20. He'll field it and flip it over to Shao covering, and definitely catching a break there. San Diego caught a break on that high D20. Helped him out. Sometimes you need luck. Sometimes better be lucky than good. Matt Williams, 23, and that's a strikeout for Eric Shao. So Shao, strikeout number 5. He's getting up there now. You can see he's going in red here on the Action PC, and I think that's just 26 batters. He can face 32 according to 12 Classic, so let him keep going. Facing Uribe, 12, and that's going to be an out. 2 with the bases empty is simply going to be a pop out to the white die number, which is a 2. So it's pop out to Santiago, and that's going to end the inning. So Eric Shao has pitched 7 innings, and he leads at 4-2. New pitcher coming in for the Giants will be Joe Price. And of course, I'll move this little logo to whatever he gets on his bullpen session. It is a 3, so he is an A pitcher, so we keep it right here as an A pitcher. He will be an A pitcher. The left-hander Joe Price. And he'll be facing Flannery, Gwynn, and Clark, 2 lefties and a righty coming up here in the bottom of the 7th inning stretch time. We go to the bullpen. It says Rick Reuschel is tired. That's what it says on the action PC. Doodad. So we're going to bring in Joe Price to pitch. And let's see. Uribe made the last out, so they are going to probably want to do a double switch, I would think. So Uribe made the last out. Who's on the bench for the Giants that they might want to double switch with? They could use Chris Spire, maybe. Could use Ernest Riles. They're going to use Ernie Riles, I think. But Ernie Riles is third base, not short. So they're going to pinch hit with They're going to double switch with Matt Williams. So in this case, Joe Price is going to hit in the 8th position. I'm sorry, in the 9th position. Or in the 7th position, I'm sorry, formerly held by Matt Williams. And now we go over here and we get Ernest Riles to play third base. So you can see now Ernest Riles filling in at number 9 position, which is the leadoff position next inning. So double switch there. I know RJL, if he ever saw this, would freak out on a double switch, but that's just the way it is in the National League. So here's Flannery against Price. 51. Right off the bat, we got an error check because the KD is too high. We get a 41. That's an error check on the second possible exotic error on Thompson at second base. His error chance, get the team sheet out, second base, his error chance is only a 2, and that's an 18, so it's not going to be an exotic error. It's not going to be any kind of error. Thompson, very solid fielding second baseman, will make the play, and there's one away. Here's Tony Gwynn. 62 for Gwynn, and that's going to be a strikeout. So once again, another strikeout. He's already struck out twice this game, and he only had 30 strikeouts in the whole season. So to me, there ought to be something there to deter that somehow. Not complaining, just an observation. And I don't know if anybody has a home brew that maybe you re-roll the 20 or check the 20-sided die, and if it's a certain number, you say it's 2 strikes or something. I don't know. Maybe that's something I'll figure out later on. It just seems like if you play this out, Tony Gwynn's going to have about 80 strikeouts. So here's Jack Clark. Maybe not. Maybe it works out in the end. Who knows? 63, strikeout 1 to 6, but that's a 14. So we re-rolled to see what the out is, and it is a 15. Bases empty 15 is a ground ball to short with a right-handed batter up there. So it's a 6-3 ground out. Oops, and that'll take care of business there. So Joe Price does very well for himself. Coming up for the Padres, for the Giants rather, we have 2 lefties coming up. So I believe the Padres will go to their bullpen for a left-hander, possibly for a left-hander. We shall see. The only they got Dave Leeper, but he's not very good. Let's see, who's got Carmelo Martinez, Crook, Santiago, Templeton, and Shaw. No, they're not going to do double switches, I don't believe. Although Jack Clark, they could replace him at first base for defense, possibly. If they had anybody to play first base, it's any good. That's the only other thing. Salazar is not bad. Only not very good range for Salazar. But he does have a 0 error rating. So we're going to have a double switch by the Padres. Fault my managing if you wish, but we're going to have a double switch. Luis Salazar will come into the game, take over at first base for Jack Clark. And coming in to pitch for the Padres is going to be their closer, Mark Davis. And he will bat in the number 4, but he will bat in the cleanup spot, formerly held by Jack Clark. And now at first base, we need a first baseman, and that's going to be Salazar. Or actually, you know what? We might move Martinez there. Might hold the phone. We might move Martinez there and bring in another outfielder. That's a possibility. In fact, I think that's probably a better situation. So we're going to bring in Marvell Wynn. So scratch the Luis Salazar factor. We're not going to bring in Salazar. We are going to bring in Marvell Wynn. So Martinez is going to first from left field, and then Marvell Wynn is going into left field. So hopefully that's clear as mud, and he bats in the 9th position. So hopefully that's clear as mud, everybody. Martinez is now at first. He doesn't change where he's batting. Wynn bats 9th and plays left field. Mark Davis is batting cleanup and, of course, is pitching. But the cleanup spot comes 9 spots away as Carmelo Martinez is your leadoff man. So hopefully, you can see it here also, hopefully, on this little thing here. I know it's little, but hopefully it shows up okay. You can see Mark Davis is up here now. So we need a bullpen session. Well, first of all, I need to put Marvell Wynn in his proper position. And that's going to be where the pitcher used to be. So there we go. All right, so Eric Schau, a fine day, but now the Padres will turn to their closer for what they hope is a 6-out save. Mark Davis. We'll get a bullpen session from Mark Davis. He had 44 saves. He won the Cy Young Award as a relief pitcher in 1989. One of the rare ones to do that. So bullpen session for Davis is a 5. He's under his A grade, so that doesn't bode too well for the Giants, but we'll wait and see. Riles, your batter. Do they want to pinch hit for Riles is the question. He came in to play third base on the double switch, but now the Padres have gone lefty. Do the Giants want to counter that with a righty off the bench? They could go to Chris Spire. That's what they're going to do. They're going to pinch hit with Chris Spire, a righty, and he'll stay in the game to play third base. So Chris Spire, wheels are turning in both dugouts now, obviously. So Chris Spire will get the call to pinch hit. So Chris Spire, your batter. That's a 64. That's a strikeout. So Mark Davis on his A grades. Didn't matter who you brought in. That's a strikeout. So Chris Spire out of there. Here's Brett Butler, top of the order. 53. And that's a range check because that's above the KD. So we go to our range check and see who's involved. 64. That's a range check on Templeton. That's a 6. I think Templeton should be able to handle that. We would hope. A 6 for a shortstop. His range is a 10, so he will make the play. It will go 6-3. Templeton throws out Butler, 2 down. And here is Robbie Thompson. Mark Davis can face 8 batters, so if he pitches well, that won't be an issue. Thompson, 65. Home run is 1-6. It's gone. Robbie Thompson does not take anything away from that. So that is gone off of Mark Davis. He does give up the long ball occasionally. And Mark Davis just gave up one right there. Mark Davis, susceptible to the long ball. Trying to see if it shows on his stats how many home runs he gave up. I don't see it off the thing here. He gives up 1 per 9 innings. So there you go. Home run off the bat of Mr. Robbie Thompson. And it's a 1-run game. All of a sudden it's 4-3 with 2 outs here in the top of the 8th and Will Clark the batter. That's a 14 and that's going to be an out. That's a 3. Should be a ground out to first. And that's exactly what it is, unassisted by the new first baseman, Carmelo Martinez. And that will end the inning. So, Joe Price back out. And he'll be facing Martinez, Kruk, and Santiago. Bottom of the 8th, 4-3. 31, and that's a range check. We're doing a range check. That's the homebrew. It would have normally been a base hit, but the homebrew says a range check. 61 is a range check on the shortstop, and that is Uribe. First of all, I need to put in third baseman is Chris Spire. He pinch hit, and I forgot to put him in at third base. So let's do that on the computer. Okay, but with the range checker to the shortstop, Uribe on that 61. So Uribe, we look at his defensive chart. At shortstop, Uribe's range is a 10, but that's an 11, so it's going to get by for a base hit. So Carmelo Martinez sneaks it past Uribe for a leadoff single, and that brings up John Kruk. Kruk might get pinch hit for with a right-handed hitter and a better defensive player as well, because his range is not very good. He's only a 1 range in out there in right field land. So let's see who they might want to go to. They might want to go to Bip Roberts here. His range is only a 1 also, but he's a righty. Not sure how they want to play that, but well, they could move. You know what? They're going to pinch hit with Randy Reddy. Randy Reddy's going to pinch hit. He cannot play right field. He can only play left field. So we'll move Randy Reddy to left field, move Marvell Wynn to right field in the top of the 9th. But right now, Randy Reddy is going to pinch hit for John Kruk. Randy Reddy. So ready it is. Ready or not, it's ready. Martinez at first. Nobody out. 56. That's a strikeout. So he strikes out Randy Reddy. I guess Reddy wasn't too ready for that one. Struck him out. Here's Benito Santiago. 45, and that is an out there, a 9, and that's a fly to right field. 2 down. And that'll take us to Gary Templeton. 2 for 3, or 2 RBIs, a couple of doubles, 2 RBIs. 23, this time he strikes out, and that's going to end the inning. So we go to the 9th, and so what we're going to need here is going to move Marvell Wynn to right field. And then over in left field, we'll keep Randy Reddy in the game. Randy Reddy would stay in the game to play left field. So there we go. But Marvell Wynn's a better right fielder, so always, I think, helps to have that situation going for you. So last chance for the Giants. They trail it 4-3. Mark Davis facing Kevin Mitchell, Candy Maldonado, and Terry Kennedy. Scheduled hitters. 4-3 game. 43, and that's going to be an out, and it's a 6, so he's going to ground it to short. 1 away. Padres 2 outs away from getting the opening day victory. Here's Candy Maldonado. 66. That's a home run, 1-4. It's a 10, so Mark Davis got very fortunate there that he didn't give up the game-time home run. That was a double. Now, Giants are going to go to the bench probably for Terry Kennedy, I would think. Kennedy is 1 for 3 in the game, or no, 0 for 2 in the game. So if they're going to go to a right-handed hitter, who would they go to? Donnell Nixon. So they're going to pinch hit with Donnell Nixon. And if the game goes to the bottom of the 9th, they will bring in Kurt Manwaring to catch. But right now they're going to Donnell Nixon as a pinch hitter. So Donnell Nixon it is, facing off here against Mark Davis. 64, that's a strikeout. Big strikeout there from Mark Davis. Good thing it wasn't a 65. He might have been in, well, I'd say wouldn't have been in trouble. But gets a strikeout, so now it's down to Matt Williams, last chance. Actually, it's not Matt Williams, it's a pitcher spot because they double switched for Matt Williams. I forgot about it. Didn't move him out of there like I should have. So we need a pinch hitter, and the pinch hitter is going to be Ed Urak. He's the highest average they have left on the bench at 238. So they're going to Ed Urak. I think he used to play for the Red Sox back in the day. But Manwaring and Jones from the right side are terrible hitters, average-wise. So they're going to go with Ed Urak. Game on the line. 61 struck him out. There's your ball game. Mark Davis gets the save. And the final score, Padres 4 and the Giants 3. And I'll see if I can get another window capture screen and do a box score for you. Let this open up real quick. So hopefully I can do this now and get the box score. So there we go. Hopefully you can see that. Hopefully it's not too small. I'll see if I can make it bigger a little bit, but not too bad. Okay, so there we go. There's your box score. Padres win it by the score of 4-3. 4 runs, 5 hits, no errors for San Diego. 3 runs, 5 hits, no errors for the Giants. Winning pitcher Eric Schau. Losing pitcher is Rick Reuschel. And the save to Mark Davis. And if we look at the batting for the Padres, player of the game, Gary Templeton, 2 for 4 with 2 doubles and 3 runs batted in. So he is definitely the player of the game for the Padres as the Padres win it. Go to the miscellaneous side of the house. Thompson hit a home run off Davis in the 8th with the bases empty, the only home run of the game. Left on base, San Diego left on 4, and San Diego left on 7. San Francisco left on 4. And even the game says Gary Templeton is the player of the game. So, not sure how this setup is going to be presented and how it's going to look, but like I said, I'm always tinkering, and I love to tinker. I'm a tinkerer, especially on these card and dice games. I like to experiment and see what I can make happen, or not happen, or hope to happen, whatever you want to call it. But I like to trial and error, and throw a lot of things at the wall and see what sticks, so to speak. So that's what I did. So I hope you enjoyed that presentation of Fall Classic, spring training style, as we get closer and closer to opening day on the NBC game of the week, which will be April the 4th, Saturday, April 4th at noon. And it will be the Boston Red Sox traveling to Kansas City to take on the Royals. It'll be Roger Clemens and Mark Gubicza. That will be the game on April the 4th, Saturday, April the 4th. So that's going to do it from here. Hope you all have a great day, whatever you have going on in your life right now. Till next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it, and we will see you all down the road. Final score, San Diego 4, San Francisco 3.